Hello and welcome to Mountain Patriot Homestead. It is January in the Ozarks and it is cold. We may be receiving our first snow of the season. It's running a little late this year, but chances aren't looking real good, but it doesn't matter. It can be cold here without snow. But I have my coffee and I've got something else that makes me happy on a cold day, and that is seeds for the garden. I am looking at seeds and dreaming of all the things that I'm gonna plant, want to plant, and will probably never get around to planting all of them, but it is fun to dream. However, it gave me an idea while I was, daydreaming of planting my garden, that maybe we could do a little twist today and put dessert on the table, but maybe make it healthy. I'm not going to promise that, but I do promise you it's going to be a little different. Sometime in the 1890s, Campbell's Soup Company started canning a tomato soup. And, tomato soup has been around. I know whenever I was growing up, one of my favorite comfort foods is tomato soup and a grilled cheese sandwich. Love it. It's just something that makes me happy. But today's recipe is going to be one, there's a little debate back and forth of exactly when this recipe was devised, but some say that it was around the 1920s, and a recipe for a cake was made using Campbell's tomato soup, the condensed soup. Yes, tomato soup. But in the 1940s, the Campbell's Soup Company came out with the recipe on their can of soup, and that's when it really took off. I always suggest to you is get in your kitchen and have an adventure. Try new things. Don't just get stuck on the same old, same old. And today, we're not. We are going to try tomato soup cake. So let's get in the kitchen. This recipe starts with a 10.5 ounce can of condensed tomato soup, and to that I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of baking soda. I'm just going to kind of stir that together. And if you see a little foaming in it, that is perfectly normal because it is cutting that acidity down in the tomatoes. So that is what you're going to see in it right there. It is just going to foam up as it reacts with that baking soda, and that is what we want it to do. So I am going to set this aside and get our other ingredients together. 1 cup of white sugar is going to be mixed with 1/2 cup of unsalted butter. Everything in this recipe is going to be started at room temperature. The same includes our eggs, and we will need 2 of those. You'll put 1 at a time in this recipe. Beat it together with the butter and sugar before you add your second. Add 1 teaspoon of vanilla. That may have been a little more than 1 teaspoon, but I like vanilla. Into the next bowl, I am going to place my dry ingredients into the sifter, and I'm going to put 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 2½ teaspoons of baking powder, 1½ teaspoons of cinnamon, ½ teaspoon of nutmeg. The final ingredient should be 1/4 teaspoon of allspice, but because I don't have allspice, and I was going to try to just use cloves, but apparently all I have right now are whole cloves, so I'm not going to do that. But what I am going to do is make a mixture here of ground cardamom. Sorry, I'm jingling here in the background, but I'm going to make a small mixture of cardamom and ground ginger, and going to put that together to equal about 1/4 teaspoon, and that is going to give a warm, cozy type spice. Again, as I have told you many times in my videos, use what you have. I have those sifted. Now I'm just going to give them a little stir here just to mix them up well. I will put down in the ingredients list in the description what the actual recipe calls for, but if you find yourself in the kitchen and you're out of, say, allspice, just use another one. You could even, in place of the allspice, just put a little more cinnamon, or if you have some cloves, you could put it in there. But you know, this is going to turn out really great, because pretty much when this gets done, it's going to taste like a spice cake. So now let's get all the ingredients together. All right, this is our butter, sugar, and eggs, and to that we are going to put in the tomato soup and baking powder mixture. Just going to put that right in there. Get all of that out of there, because that's going to be some good stuff. Now I'm just going to mix this just like this. Now, if it starts to look like it's breaking up, see how it's looking a little grainy? That is okay, because when you put your flour in there, it's all going to come back together. This is all just chemical reactions going on. It's nothing bad. It does not look very tasty at this point, but I promise you the end result is going to be pretty amazing. So let me just get that. I don't want to overmix it now. I'm just trying to get that mixed up. Now I'm going to take my flour mixture. I'm just going to add that right in there. Going to fold this together. Again, I want to incorporate this. I want to keep it airy, which means I don't want to overmix it, but I do want all these ingredients incorporated together. Wow, if you could smell all these spices right now. This kitchen smells so good. And as it bakes, it's going to, I'm not going to have to light any candles to make the house smell good today, because this is going to do it for me. And just see how moist that is looking. Now you noticed in this cake, the only dairy we have in it is the butter. We don't have to put milk in it, which is a good thing. Now, because dairy, unless you have your own cow, Dairy is definitely not a cheap thing. Nothing is it? Every time I just have to go to the store to get basics, I just cringe at the prices. If I'm having to if I'm having to go to what I call a regular store and not one of my markdown stores. Okay, see that? Now, at this point, you could add in, I want to make sure I get all that. At this point, you could add in nuts, you could add in soaked raisins, just whatever type of addition you would like to make to this, because it is going to be so good. But I am just going with the basic recipe, and now I am going to put it into a pan or dish, I guess, that I have already greased, and I'm going to get it into the oven. Now this has been spread in the dish. I'm going to put it in a 350-degree Fahrenheit oven for 25 to 30 minutes, or until a toothpick that is pushed into it comes back out clean. So let's get it cooking. So it just came out of the oven. It cooked for exactly 30 minutes, depending on your oven. Yours may differ a little bit in time. Just keep an eye on it, and you see the little hole right there where I tested it with a toothpick. It is done. Now I'm going to let it cool in the pan. You could make a loaf pan cake out of this. You could make a layer cake out of this, but you know, I just put mine in my regular dish that I usually make my cakes in. And once this is cool, if you want to ice it, you can cool it completely. And cream cheese frosting on this is excellent, but we kind of like our cakes pretty plain. And so all I'm going to do is sprinkle some, or dust, I guess, some powdered sugar on top of this. And we're probably not going to wait until it's completely cool. We're probably going to have a taste real soon, so don't go away. And here are the end results. Look at that color. Isn't that pretty? That is so pretty. And it's so moist. Look at that. See it? See how it's hanging on that fork? And it is done. I just, like I said, I just put powdered sugar on top because we don't care a lot for a bunch of icing. So this is how we finish off a lot of our cakes. But cream cheese frosting on this would be really good. And for those of you that are just like, oh, no tomato soup, this is, once you get all those spices in there, it is a spice cake at that point. And let's just try it. It's not overpoweringly sweet because, you know, it used 1 cup of sugar in that cake, so not just overpoweringly sweet. And I'm telling you, I am a tomato soup eater, so I know what tomato soup tastes like. I'm getting no tomato soup taste in it, so if some of you are like, oh, tomato soup and a cake, oh, I don't think so. Believe me, this is not it. It tastes like a spice cake. Now, if you wanted it a little sweeter, of course, you could add more sugar to it. It is, I'm not going to promise you the outcome of the texture because, again, I've used 1 cup. I don't know how much different it would be if you used 2. If you want it a little sweeter, put you some frosting on top and try it that way. But I'm telling you, this is a spice cake. And that tomato soup in there, just, it gives it a richness. I'm trying to think how to describe it. It gives it a richness, and the moistness. It makes it really moist. So that's how my tomato soup cake turned out. I hope you'll give it a try, and let me know down in the comments below if you've eaten this or if you're going to try it. And let me know for sure if you try it and what you think. So I'm gonna finish up my cake, and I hope y'all have a wonderful day. Love y'all. Mountain Patriot Homestead, signing out.